Hello, and welcome everyone to Core Lose Tiebreaker. Normally on this channel, I post content that ranges from wrestler entrance videos to trick shot videos and a lot of different stuff in between. However, I want to discuss a more serious topic in this video today. Last Friday marked the beginning of the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. This is the time when some people begin to think about mental health and mental illness. I urge all of you that are watching this to think about mental health and mental illness on a more consistent basis, and more so around the clock. A lot of people battle mental illness and they tend to do so in silence. That's because they don't feel comfortable opening up about their struggles, mostly because there's a stigma attached to this exact thing, that having a mental illness makes you insane and that you're a crazy person and all that sort of stuff. There are more people battling anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts than you're probably aware of. I challenge all of you around the world to help #break the stigma and encourage people dealing with mental illness to seek help, if they aren't already. For those of you in this fight against mental illness, I encourage you at some point to regularly visit a psychiatrist or a therapist, and I know people will feel comfortable doing so at different points, so take your time and do this at your own pace. I've done some research on this subject, and I have some key information that I want to share with you all. These first few things are courtesy of Mental Health First Aid USA. In the U.S., 46.4% of adults will experience a mental illness during their lifetime. And about 5% of adults experience a mental illness in any given year, which is equivalent to 43.8 million people. Half of all mental disorders begin by the age of 14, and 3/4 of such by the age of 24. In the U.S., only 41% of people who had a mental disorder in the past year received professional health care or other services. These next few things, several things actually, are courtesy of the National Alliance of Mental Illness. 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year. 1 in 25 U.S. adults experience a serious mental illness each year. 1 in 6 U.S. youth aged 6 to 17 experience a mental health disorder each year. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 34 years old. Suicide overall is the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. 43.3% of U.S. adults with a mental illness received treatment in 2018. And in 2018 as well, 64.1% of U.S. adults with a serious mental illness received treatment as well. 50.6% of U.S. youth aged 6 to 17 with a mental health disorder received treatment in the year 2016. The average delay between the onset and treatment of mental illness symptoms is about 11 years. 60% of U.S. counties do not have a single practicing psychiatrist. People with depression have a 40% higher risk of developing cardiovascular and metabolic diseases than the general population. People with a serious mental illness are nearly twice as likely to develop those conditions. The overall suicide rate in the U.S. has increased by 31% since 2001. 46% of people who die by committing suicide had a diagnosed mental health condition. And 90% of people who commit suicide had shown symptoms of a mental health condition, according to interviews with family, friends, and medical professionals. So coming up on your screen shortly, I included a couple of quotes that pertain to mental health that I feel it might be helpful for some of you, and maybe you wouldn't see these quotes otherwise. So here are some quotes. In recent years, college and professional athletes have continued to step out and share their own stories about mental illness, their own struggles and battles, everything that they've gone through, treatment that they've sought on their own and whatnot. And I just hope that this continues to keep the ball rolling. Professional athletes have started to get the ball rolling. Now let's keep it rolling. Because one of the goals of this video here is just to create another platform for people to feel comfortable opening up and sharing their own stories. Because that's going to be part of helping people that are struggling with this to help feel more accepted and not so judged and cast aside. I just hope that if you are dealing with a mental health issue, that you know someone that you can talk to, and that you go about seeking help, because that's going to be the biggest thing. If you have a mental health issue, you're not a crazy person, you're not insane, you're not a psychopath, you're a human being. And it's a pretty well-known fact that human beings, we're all going through something. There's always something going on in our lives that causes us to be anxious and tense, and you know, it's just one of those things, you can't really avoid it. So I urge all of you that don't have a mental health issue to not judge those who are dealing with it, because having the mental illness is already a battle in and of itself for that person. But instead, I implore all of you to help out in any way that you can with those individuals, whether it's just having a conversation with them that allows them to kind of open up and share more, grabbing coffee with that person, being a shoulder for them to cry on a tough day, or just listening to them vent, just stuff like that. I know for me personally, one of my methods is to send a Bible verse to people that's relevant to their situation, and I've gotten positive feedback about that over the years, and so I'm going to continue to keep doing that, because I try to help in any way that I can. And another thing I like to do is I tell like dad jokes, basically. Some of them just so stupid it's funny, and sometimes just a simple little laugh is all that some people need to get out of the mood, the funk that they're in. For those of you that are going through this in silence, again, I urge you to find someone that you're close to, that you feel comfortable sharing with, because that is a huge first step, is to allow people in so that they can help you. And then at some point down the line, when you're ready, I do recommend seeing a therapist or a counselor, so that you can continue to keep moving through the process, because at times that illness that you're dealing with, or that issue you're dealing with, is gonna come back. So just having that relationship with a counselor or a therapist is going to be huge for the method of treatment and the timeline going forward. And if you take nothing else away from this video, I just hope that if you are battling one of these issues, that you know that there's a way out of your issues besides committing suicide. There are people willing to help and to listen, and there are resources available to anyone at any time. So please just know where to go and how to go about seeking that help. So as part of this video, I asked my coworker, but more importantly my buddy Tyler Moberg, if he wanted to share his experience with mental illness for this video, and he agreed to do so. Originally this was going to be an on-camera interview, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to change things up a little bit. I just gave him a sheet with the questions I was going to ask him. He sent me his responses the other day. So I'm going to go through everything real quick. We'll dive right into it. So the first thing that I had for Tyler was for him to kind of just tell us more about himself, kind of introduce us to him, his childhood, passions, goals, anything that he wanted to talk about. And here was his response. I'm Tyler Moberg. I enjoy football more than anything in the world, and fishing. I'm 28, married, and just want to make a difference. The most important thing to me is making the people I love laugh, be it friends and family. I try to be the type of person who would give the shirt off their back to anybody. Growing up, I had a good childhood. It had its challenges, but I had good parents. My parents were divorced, which was hard, but my sister and I got through it. My sister is 1 year younger than me, and I have a half brother as well, who will always be my full brother. My goals, I would say, are I just want to buy a house with my wife, travel when we can, laugh as much as possible, and have 1 or 2 children. I want to be good at my job or career because it's a huge source of pride for me, and I love to be successful at whatever it is I'm doing, no matter what type of work I'm doing. I'm a Christian, and God is the most important part of my life. However, I'm not perfect, and I make mistakes just like everybody else. So that was kind of his way of introducing us to him. So the question that I asked him to kind of follow up on that was, when did the battles with anxiety and depression begin, and kind of the events that led up to that? And here was his response. My battles with mental health began after my parents got divorced. It was extremely hard on me because I wanted to be close with both my parents equally, but I felt like I couldn't do that if I saw one of them more than the other. We moved more than the average family and lacked stability, which gave me anxiety and made me not like change at all. It created a lot of resentment towards my parents and strained my relationships with both of them and made me very angry, and that's what led to me being depressed. I'm getting along with both parents better now, especially my dad. If I'm being honest though, I still struggle with my mom. As I went through school, I struggled making friends and had very bad anxiety. I didn't perform well in the early stages of school, and changing schools often during my early years made it very hard on me. As I got older and settled through our roots, I became a lot more comfortable and got through middle school and high school just fine. Then after I graduated and as I've gotten older, it's been very tough for me in certain seasons in my life. I've battled with depression a few times a year for about 10 years, and it's been very hard. After I got married to my beautiful and amazing wife, Stephanie, she started seeing it in me too, and she encouraged me to get help, so I started to do that. The next question I had for Mr. Moberg was to share about what his personal experience with treatment options are and which ones have been pretty successful. And he responded, "The treatment methods that have worked for me are numerous, thankfully. First, I would say to find a hobby or something you're passionate about to take your mind off of things and to look forward to. For me, that's fishing and sports. The most important thing, though, obviously is God. Without him, I wouldn't have made it this far. He is my rock. Dive into his word and never let go. He has all the answers. And also, spending time with people who love and care about you and that are great people. And watching who you associate with. You want to surround yourself with positive, vibrant people who build you up and make you feel amazing. No negativity or people who tear you down. I've been friends with negative people, and it drives you and your energy into the ground. You just have to keep a positive mindset through the good and bad. Just always remember who truly cares about you and never take them for granted, like I do with my wife Stephanie, who is a saint for putting up with me. Other people who I'm grateful for are my coworkers Ethan, Austin, and Tyler Corlew. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. And they have become my good friends, and my entire family as well. Without all of you guys, and a few that I'm sure I'm forgetting, I wouldn't have made it through this thing we call life. And medication is also helpful. It's okay to take medicine, and there's nothing wrong with it. I take Prozac, and everyone knows I'm open about it, and I don't hide it. God gave us medicine for a reason, so use it. It's there to help. Prozac has made a huge difference for me. I'm more positive and level-headed because of the medication. So the last thing I had for Tyler was to offer any sort of advice based off of his experiences with mental illness to share with others who are struggling through the same thing. And he stated, "My advice would be don't give up and know there's always hope and love in the world. God is always there, even when no one else is. Pray and he will take you as you are. Ask for help from people you love. And talk about your problems and how you are feeling. Don't give up, and if you are feeling suicidal, please speak up. Your life is very valuable, even when you don't feel like it is. I felt that way before, and it's a dark place to be in. Life is too short, and you have so much to live for. You can get through anything. I know, because I have. And if anyone ever needs to talk, I'm here, even if I don't know you personally." Thank you, Tyler, for sharing. I know that it was a little bit tough for you to do, but I'm glad that you decided to open up and be a part of this, and I thank you very much for your participation. And I hope that Tyler's advice to you guys allows you to let your walls down and open up about your problems. Coming up on the screen shortly will be a list of organizations that were created for people battling mental illness, including phone numbers or specifically who the organization is out there for. Because I just want you guys to know the different organizations that are out there that are here to help and here to provide resources just to kind of navigate through this battle that you're having to go through. So they will be coming up on your screen right now. After seeing this video today, I hope you are encouraged and know where to go when you need help, and that you are loved, people care about you, your problems matter, and your life matters. I'm praying for those of you who are going through this, and I'm here for you in any way that I can help. Stay safe, stay healthy, have a great day, and God bless.